Hey, Monkey Nation, let's talk prepping for a minute. If you haven't done so, Monkey Werx has put together an affiliate program with My Patriot Supply. And right now for the month of May, if you jump over here and get 3 months worth of emergency food prep, you can actually get $200 worth of really cool gear. And that is for this month, $200 worth of free gear for every 3-month food emergency kit that you buy. You get that $200 worth of gear while supplies last. That is monkeywerxprep.com. Head over there and take the necessary steps for you and for your family. This is the time to do it, not once things start to already begin, because you won't be able to get your hands on this stuff once things go hot. So again, monkeywerxprep.com. We'll see you soon. God bless. Monkey out. All right. Hey, welcome, folks. Mil-Spec Ops Monkey here. This is going to be your Sitrep. It is 11 a.m. Central Time, coming to you from the great state of Texas. And it is 5/19/2023. And so first up, I just wanted to, thank everyone that are giving the memberships. It's so kind of you. There are a lot of folks that can't do this because they don't have it. And so when you guys give a membership, it really does help somebody else out. And it's very kind of you. And also, if you would, hit that like, subscribe, bell for notification. That does help us out tremendously here on the channel. And I want to welcome those from around the world. I know we've got people from Australia in here today. We've got them from Canada. We get them from Germany watching, all over the world now. So it's really fantastic when you start to think about just how far this channel reaches. It's amazing. So, all right, let's hop over here to the Mini-Me board as always. Kicking it off in Skyglass. And again, if you don't have Skyglass and you really want some state-of-the-art tracking, just go over to avrlabs.com and pick it up. It's like $5 a month, but there is nothing that even comes close to the capabilities of this thing on the market. And so right now we are actually looking at 34 air refuelers up. That's a pretty high number. And if we we're going to look here across the U.S. and we'll go over to Europe and take a look what's going on there. And then we'll come back and we'll peel this onion a little bit more, okay? But right here in the center of the United States, it looks to be a big effort. Notice we got this one headed down towards the southern border. Again, I don't know why these guys are down there other than they are definitely supporting fighters, which would be an indicator that we've got some fighter activity that just kind of loiters in that area, it's good. All right, now let's get up to, look like I've got a little bit over Florida, and we get up here over the northeast. Now, keep in mind, Flashbang is not in country. He actually is left. And then also Air Force 2 is currently cruising out west, I think maybe headed to LA. We'll look on the weather map here in a minute to see if that gives us any indication on where they might be headed. But let's go pop over to Europe real fast on the air refuelers, then we'll come back. And then you did notice when we were going across those long lines there from the F-35s, or sorry, the KC-135s, probably refueling F-35s, headed back across the drink. They're probably heading to get additional fighters and bring them over. Remember, Finland up here has got a major exercise happening in early June. And assets are already kind of going into play. It's going to be one of the largest fighter activities in history. So that is a data point for you on this beautiful Friday. And just keep that in mind. The timing of it I find interesting because, boy, wouldn't it be amazing to have all of those fighters up here in Europe. Well, I say Europe, the North Baltic region. But to then have our big spring offensive take shape here in Ukraine, because you'd want those assets. You're going to need air dominance. We'll talk about more of that here in a minute. So let's head back over to CONUS on our map. Again, you can see the ones that are coming in across the drink as my map time to think here for a second. It always does this to me. Okay, well, we'll just leave it at that for now. Let's do this. I'm going to back this bad dude up, and then we're going to just do a quick replan. We'll take this off, and then that's going to give us the real numbers of where we are. Let me take away our traces over those, and we're sitting just over the United States around 179. Keep in mind, too, I've already taken out 28 T-38s, lawn darts, and then 47 Tex-2s. Those are trainers. So let's see what we got up here. Anything of interest? I did see a Q4 that was up a minute ago. Let me see if I can still find that bad dude over here. It looks like it has since landed. Okay, so there we did have a Q4 that was up over this region. And then I'm going to see, I don't really see anything. Okay, we'll just go on over to the other thing we're going to talk about, which would be our watch list. All right, let's get into this. Now, notice we got a couple here down in Southern California, 2 of them. One of them is going to be a survey aircraft, while the other is actually going to be the Phoenix group, which has a little Embraer that does island hopping all day back and forth off the southern coast. They're taking engineers out to one of their sites. And then out here, this is all survey flights. And that is going to be a Mill Intel balloon currently over Oklahoma, Altus, Oklahoma, I think, 12 miles away from Altus, Oklahoma. But the dude is up there. It's like 60,000 feet up. And then we've got more survey aircraft. It looks like I got a little bit of a glare here going on my screen. More survey. We do have a Top Cat. So there are 2 R-135 aircraft up. Actually, one's a C-135 and one R-135. The difference is capabilities. So one of them, I think, is a nuke sniffer, while the other is a regular surveillance intel thing. Now, these look to be all, for the most part, besides one Homeland Security, all survey planes down over Florida. And then over here, additional survey planes, most of those. It's incredible. Almost the entire thing that I'm watching on my watch list are survey birds. We get over here to Europe, and you're going to notice some activity there. We do have one aircraft that looks to be over kind of Naples, a little G5 Italian. And then, of course, there's our Forte 10. That's going to be a Q4 drone that's coming out of Malta. And then these aircraft up here, that one right there is actually, I think, comes from Southeast Asia. I think it's one of the dignitaries just making round robins, everywhere. But then we got our regular little Mill Intel balloons from the German government and a little G4 from Sweden. The interesting thing is, and we'll look at this closer in a minute, down off of Italy, there's something going on out there over the Med. There's been a lot of activity. You'll see it again when we look at our Intel stuff. And then notice this broken trail headed down to Australia. What was it? I have no idea. I just know it disappeared when it got over here and was no longer available to track. So, but that's something on my watch list. So you know. And hey, while we're down here while we're down in Australia. Now, this is from last night. Very hard. It's like 1:10 a.m. right now on the East Coast, I think, or around 1, maybe 2:10 a.m. In Australia right now. Most of what we see on our screen here are trainers. Just so you know, there are probably a P8 or 2 in there that is flying as NA, like that one. They tend to kind of stay a little bit covert with those. And then that little P208, again, trainer activity. There's a big trainer base down there, kind of like a panhandle of Florida for us. And then little EC-45, Hilo, and that gyro. I'm going to save it to the favorites because I don't know. It looks to be some type of drone off the coast there. But again, I captured these the day before, the evening before, because it is, it's just that time of day, there's nothing up, really, for us when we're doing this, okay? Then we get up here to Japan, same thing. This is last night. Just notice, remember, Flashbang is over there. And there we go, a couple BE-20s. What do we have here? A little C560 and another BE-30 flying around. So, okay. Let's do this. Let's go down to here. We're going to stay in Australia. We're going to look at the C-17s. And just notice that we have some additional activity there in Australia. Let's go a little bit north. Last 24-hour traces, C-17s And a little bit of an uptick in Japan. We don't see a lot of C-17s in Japan. My guess, because this is the last 24-hour traces, this is directly tied to the motorcade and flashbang, okay? And then we get over here to Europe, and notice how this looks like it is just one big, long string of spaghetti in and out of Luxembourg, all right? That means we are now really shifting a lot of assets into that part of Europe. Very, very heavily focused. It is, before this, in the weeks leading up to this, it's been very broad brush, right? A lot of spider webs over there, and now it seems to be a lot more focused. And then here in the U.S., just notice the port activity down in Charleston. Very, very active and heavy. Again, this is C-17 only, heavies. And then we've got these little spots that kind of spread across the United States. That's base activity, stuff up there near Norfolk. And then we get over here, you've got it up in Washington, down in Beale, in, I guess, kind of east of Sacramento. And then we have Southern California, Alaska. Again, last 24 hours. That could also be tied to flashbang. I don't know. But let's do this. Let's get back over to the mini board. And let me see if there's anything else I've wanted to hit. Yeah, we do have some 3-day survey stuff I want to show you. Let's look at Intel's first. This is the Intel aircraft. Just notice there's a lot of activity south of Tucson. Granted, there is an Intel community there, but they did just find an IED crossing the border at the Douglas checkpoint. And that right there may be why we see a very different search pattern on that end. And then we get up here to this side of it. Salt Lake City's got some really funky activity going on there from an Intel aircraft. Then we get over here. We're taking a closer gander to stuff up there in Canada, as always. And then look at this. What are they looking at over D.C. and Maryland area, Virginia? That, very interesting. Haven't seen that kind of pattern before. That's going to be Brio 68. We'll tell you the capabilities of that thing is not much different than a Q4 drone. It is very advanced technology. And so I always find it interesting whenever there's something hot going on in D.C., like maybe a debt negotiation, whatever it may be, we seem to have an increased amount of surveillance over the area. Go figure. All right. That just means the NSA's got their pulse on everything. All right. Now, look at this. This is a longer pattern we see to the left side of Moldova and Ukraine, looking at more of a length, a broader brush there. And then this, look at this going on over Naples. This is kind of, I say Naples centric. It's over Italy for the most part. Keep in mind, we got the Q4 drone that just went airborne, looking for some stuff in that area too, near Malta. And then all of that over Italy. What is going on there? I'm sure we will find out something here soon. And then obviously over Israel. There's a lot going on there right now, folks. And then over Jordan. Remember, this is Intel aircraft, okay? And we get down south, and man, this kind of shocked me. I was not expecting to find anything. And well, look at there. Down under. Yeah, what are they doing here? Out over the water, doing some stuff. Again, Intel aircraft, right? This could be like third party. This could be R-135. That could be the break that we saw that was headed down south and then started to kind of, it just tapered off and ended. That may be the aircraft that we're looking at there. And you can see I'm just crawling into the Philippines here. And then again, just a little bit of light activity down in the Philippines, Southeast Asia. All right. Now, here's one for you. Check this out. This is the Ruskies. All right. The Russians. What? Look at the amount of flights these guys are flying in and out of Taiwan. Yeah. Huh. Now that I found very interesting. What are they doing in Taiwan, given the current political environment? And then over here, notice they've kind of dashing in and out of Europe, and then across the areas you would expect them to see bouncing. Right? Thought that was interesting. And then I bounced over here to CONUS because I was like, what if we see them landing in the U.S.? Well, I thought I had one for a minute. That's actually Victoria, Canada, just over the border. But yeah, pretty doggone close. All right. Now, these are going to be the dignitary flights for the most part. Okay. All right. Now, let's talk 3-day surveys since we have done the dirty deed on the Ruskies here. Check this out. Notice the long lines. It looks like we're at another point of transition, which means these guys are moving on to their next search location. The interesting thing is USGS came out and said that they had a single flight. They're going to be doing some helicopter work over Wyoming. If this was USGS, they would have announced it. Okay, they would have said, "Hey, we're doing survey flights all over the U.S." They don't have anything to hide in terms of that. They would have said it because, I mean, why call out Wyoming if you're doing it everywhere else, right? Notice the search pattern gets a little funky. I thought for a minute there maybe they're following like the St. Johns River or something, but I think that's the wrong direction. But then, okay, then we hear these are the patterns you expect to see. But what? I mean, how many times are they going to look at stuff in that general area? I bet they've looked at that a dozen times, the same areas over and over and over, which tells you, that's what makes me think it's either the Club Ks or civil unrest coming. They're worried about a collapse, and they know that they're going to have to lock down those areas around the White House and Pentagon very quickly, right? As they say, 72 to animal. All right. And again, south down near Cheyenne, north of Denver, south of Denver, Salt Lake City, Reno, Los Angeles, all over the U.S. And again, look at the search patterns, just squiggly lines. Don't know. All right. Then it takes us over here to Europe. I didn't expect to find anything here because it's been a little slow, but now look at this. Here you go. More search patterns. All right. That's directly west of Stockholm. Nothing down south. Let's go check out Australia. Go down under. And we look here. Oh, again, day after day after day. I'm really looking forward to doing a roll up as we're adding these tail numbers here. But yeah, I mean, you can see little something there in the middle. But then you get up here. It looks like you got a transition coming down south of Brisbane, and then down in Sydney, another transition. Some stuff going on there in Perth. What's going on, I don't know, but it sure does seem like they are very keen in looking for something or creating, mapping a battlefield. Okay, well, this is going to be where we are right now. Let's go ahead and jump over here to the news. We're going to talk weather here for just a quick second. Now, I'm not talking weather modification stuff today, but I'm just going to point out that notice we're getting ready to go into an El Nino. Remember, this happens every 7 years, and this particular event is going to last a while. It's going to be a long-term one, and they said they're predicting it to be a rather large one, way more than we've had in the past, like a historic level one, okay? Which is bad because what that means is the water temps down in the areas where the hurricanes are forming are going to be super hot, which means you're going to get some crazy, crazy hurricanes rolling through because they're going to have that energy coming off of the ocean temps that's just going to fuel these things. So we have to watch out for that. Just what everybody wanted to hear. Great, right? But let's go look at, if I were just to show you what they're really talking about here, I've got it set up so it's going to show the winds as it relates. Now, this wave that they're talking about is down here, right? It's along the equator, and you can see how it is just getting sucked in right here, and it's going to draw it right across, right now, across Mexico, right here in good old, and I'm going to say this as a joke, Chihuahua. I know it's Chihuahua, but I always say it like that just because I can. And anyway, but yeah, across Chihuahua and then up here into Texas, which means we're about to get a lot of rain and moisture for the unforeseeable future. But anyway, as that happens, that's the temperature is going to be increasing in these areas. And so especially out here, Gulf of Mexico. And that means when the hurricanes get into this section, it's going to get ugly. All right. Now, let's take a gander. I want to see what we've got. It looks like this is where flashbang is headed, San Diego. I see some little circles down there, and that's usually when I say flashbang. Those are way too small. I meant Bob Marley, but it looks like Harris is headed down here, and then we've got this as a regular one. That's over Beale Air Force Base. And then as we get out to this side, I'm just going to look just to see. I think that may be, let's just see what it says. Yeah, Space Ops. All right. Well, I didn't expect that. And a lot of these are air shows. This is security. This is Space Ops. All right. And then if we back it up a little bit more, you're going to get up here towards Canada. And just notice this one is still in place. That's when flashbang comes back through. And then this is actually a load of fires. When we get to the NOTAMs, I'll show you all the fireboxes that are covering that area. So it looks like they've got a lot of fires going on up there. Okay. Speaking of flashbang, we can I guess we can now go ahead and turn off the silver alert. We have located him. He is still in Japan, and with the G7 leaders. And oh, by the way, just as a heads up, it looks like Zelensky is actually headed to do some panhandling here with the G7 leaders, and that's on his docket. Now, tomorrow, I believe he's headed out and going to Rome, I believe. But there's talks of him headed to Berlin. So it looks like he's getting ready to go on the world tour just in time for probably a spring offensive, if I had to guess. You know, guys like that always want to get out of town because more than likely they'll be found in a hole and taken care of, kind of like Saddam, right? All right. Check this out. This is interesting. It happens all the time, but evidently the Bilderberg crew is now gathering. This is basically, if you don't know who those guys are, they are a list of global elites that get together on a regular basis. It's actually the 69th Bilderberg meeting, and they talk about a lot of different things. When we get down here to the agenda, I'm going to skip all the other stuff. But these are the guys that really move the needle and are probably the handlers of most of the people that represent the world. Okay. Notice the agenda here. You got AI. It looks to be in alphabetical order, but the banking system, yes, yeah, we fully expect that. Energy transitions. Europe, yeah, I'd probably be talking about a lot of that. Let's see, we get down here. They're going to talk NATO, Russia, industrial policy and trade, U.S. leadership. They're going to be talking about that. So watch for a change in our leadership. And when I say that, I'm talking about flashbang. These guys are probably going to say, hey, we got to do something about this clown. He's starting to deviate from what we're telling him, and it's time to pull the plug. So we'll watch for that. They'll be talking Ukraine. We expect that as well. But I thought AI was interesting, and the banking system being talking points were definitely interesting. Okay. Now, this is where you go. You just can't make this stuff up. California. Actually, they're investigating the loss of 30 tons of explosive chemicals that were on a train. They locked the doors and they sent it to, I think, Wyoming or somewhere. By the way, this is ammonium nitrate, okay? 60,000 pounds of ammonium nitrate. And most of that stuff is used, it's not used as an explosive, except for by criminals. It's actually used for fertilizer, right? And they need that out west. So the train shows up and they open the doors and it is empty. 60,000 pounds of ammonium nitrate are no longer there. Remember, this is what they use for crops and a whole bunch of other stuff. So for it to show up and have nothing in it means that is a lot of farmers that are not going to have fertilizer, okay? And coincidence? Probably not. The fact that there is probably a steady stream of pellets of ammonium nitrate around the railroad track from California to Wyoming right now, Cheyenne. So anyway, pretty wild. Or there is a very large bomb being made or many little ones. because ammonium nitrate, that's how they took down the federal building in Oklahoma City, if you remember that. Okay. All right. Yeah, here's one. This is, of course, Daddy Warbucks here. Basically welcomed a record surge of migrants in April. And they go through the numbers here, but this just looks like it's just a big blame game. They're trying to say that this really, was all due to Trump. Yeah, of course they are. They're putting a spin on it. Bottom line is we're still hitting record levels coming across our borders, and that this guy right here, they're actually starting to ask for his resignation because he has failed miserably at what he's supposed to be doing. So hopefully we get rid of Daddy Warbucks here in the near future. But let's get over to the next one. It says here, Mayor Eric Adams, nearly half of the New York City hotel rooms are now filled with migrants. So let that sink in. That's quite a bit because there are a lot of hotels in New York City. All right. And then here's another one for you over off the Daily Wire. This is Florida sends 800 soldiers, 300 law enforcement officers to help secure U.S. border in Texas. Thank you for that. We definitely thank you. Two good dudes. I think DeSantis and Abbott are both, on the up and up. Now, there's been a lot of talk about, Governor Abbott and his relationship to some of the past presidents, but nonetheless, I tell you, he's not real cozy with old Sleepy Joe. And I've actually had conversations with him about our border in a very private environment. So he definitely has our interest in, at least for the state of Texas. And that is probably why the hotels between DeSantis and Abbott is probably why our hotels are, or not our hotels, but the New York City hotels are half full. So let's take a look at the flights here when it comes to the migrant movement. Again, one of the things that I've started to notice is that, we do have a lot of them that are being taken back. These are deportations where they bring them back to their home. That one right there I thought was interesting just because that dot right there looks an awful lot, very, very close to Guantanamo Bay. I don't know how close that really is. Look down here on the map in a second, but this is just notice these are flights to the interior. I mean, this one's going Jacksonville. That one's going to Greensboro. This one here looks to be, I don't know where that's actually headed, but it is in the interior of our country. Those are the ones that concern me because that could be an indicator that they are actually letting people in and they're flying them to the interior of our country rather than let them stay in Texas. So it looks like the Guantanamo Bay one is CMW, so that may not be a bad. I think that's it. Let me just double check here as I look across the ones going to Cuba. But that one, yeah, it looks like it's going to Miami from there. So let's just take a look. 2071, and yeah, so that's coming out. It's pretty close to that area, but in and out of Miami. All right, back that up. Let's get over here to the Blaze. And let's talk here for a minute about this. The Pentagon actually had a miscalculation. And this is your Bohica moment, by the way. It says now that they've found another $3 billion available to support Ukraine after an accounting mistake was discovered. Yeah, they're cooking the books, folks. And this is, yeah, the fact that, what kills me is why not take that 2.7 and either put it towards our own military or maybe you pay off some of the debt you owe. But no, instead we're going to give it to the most corrupt country other than ours on the face of the earth, Ukraine. So your tax dollars at work. Now this I thought was interesting because this is actually your dollar, and it was on the climb, which is 103 is kind of hitting a high. It hasn't been that high in quite some time. I mean, now it is looks to be starting to bake back down. You can see one big, large drop off here that took place around, looks around 11:15 Eastern, a drop off. And so we'll keep our eye on it every single time. May have to do with the debt ceiling negotiations have been paused. That's probably it right there. I don't know what time that was announced, but probably directly right about here, if I had to guess, before the plunge. All right. Now, this is actually World Atlantic. They do a daily flight, it looks like, from El Paso over to San Diego. I think it's a prison run. It was on there. It has already passed. So I'm going to actually quit showing it because there's nothing there every time we get to it. So, all right. Let's take a look at our cyber attack map for today. You can see, actually, if you look at the locations, the ones that are getting the biggest hits right now, U.S., the UK, and Russia. I don't really see anything going towards Russia, although I do see these blips popping up here in Europe. But maybe there occasionally, but it's coming towards us. So there you go. Looks like we're still getting a meat of the attacks. All right. This is going to be your NOTAM. This is it'll show TFRs, a lot of military exercises and operations going on. Most of them are exercises. Notice a bunch of little smaller red dots. Those are going to be TFRs as it relates to different things, ball games, football stadium. Well, I say football, baseball stadiums, etc. But also fires. These up here in Canada, that was the spot we looked at on the weather radar map that held the flames. These are all fireboxes, all right? For the most part, all fireboxes. Get over here to Europe. Let me drop down. I'm just going to see if we got any kind of weird anomaly up north. I don't see one. This is Russia. That looks like it's another missile launch. That's usually what you get in that box, these longer boxes like that. Looks like we've got some, this is actually a danger area off of the UK. And then a lot of stuff as we get down here. Remember, this is the area we've been watching all of that activity with the drones going on. Let's just click on a box and see what we've got here. Let's see, navigation warning. So military activity, Joint Stars 2023 is going on. So we've got, looks like a joint exercise going on down here. That's thus all of the activity we see happening. Okay. All right, well, there you have it. And we even got the name of the exercise. All right. I'll back up a little bit, see if we've got anything down south there. That one catches my eye a little bit. Let's see what that's tied to. Restricted areas. Doesn't say what they're for, but just restricted down off of south of Rio de Janeiro. Okay, let's move on over back to the news. So this supposedly happened, but a Russian bomber has been shot down by a Patriot system, according to Yahoo News, who probably pulled it from their source here, which is CNN. Did it happen? I don't know. It's kind of like we keep hearing about that the Patriot missile system has been taking out hypersonics. Nope. Not buying it. I think it's just somebody's just pumping us full of rubbish there. All right. But yeah, that'd be pretty interesting. It looks like this Russian bomber was actually about to drop a payload and they took it out before that could happen. But this is the only source I've seen on it. I don't really go over here to the Communist News Network very often. Actually, really never. All right. This one, don't know, but okay. Here we go. Britain and Germany are saying that the U.S. must decide on jets for Ukraine. So now it goes back to flashbang. Are you going to give them F-16s or not? Remember, originally he said not going to happen. Said the same thing about the tanks, as we have given them over 100 tanks now to date with a multitude in the production cycle. All right. So this is a game changer if things go hot. The problem is when it comes to F-16s, I thought was kind of interesting. It's up to the White House right here. This is the comment that your big takeaway. The White House needs to decide whether it wants to release that technology. Okay. That goes to show you how much more advanced, even though the F-16 is not the latest technology, F-22, F-35 are going to be your next gen aircraft. But the fact that they don't want to put an F-16 into the theater shows you that the jets, all the MiGs that they're fighting against that are out there flying around are far less superior of an aircraft. And so even though you can give them the Eurofighter or whatever it may be, there's nothing that is going to touch even the F-16 technology-wise in the region. Now, the F-16s, they've been through a boatload of modifications, and Lockheed has made that aircraft spectacular. I mean, it is a really good aircraft, but it just pales in comparison to the F-35, F-22. The technologies on those two aircraft are so far advanced compared to something like an F-16 that, but still to say that they don't really know if they want to put that into that theater, thinking that they'll probably get shot down. More than likely they will get shot down because the Ukrainians aren't going to know how to fly these things, right? So, all right, here's the next thing. Taiwan buys 18 additional HIMAR rocket launchers from the U.S. Again, war is an economy. But the M142 High Mobility Artillery Rocket System, a.k.a. the HIMARS, this right here tells me that the fact that we're selling them additional, remember, Taiwan's not a big island. I mean, if we go back over here to this, we head over to this side of the world, you kind of look at them compared to China, compared to Japan, and even Japan isn't really a massively large area. Taiwan's just a little tiny island. I mean, it's not that big. The fact that we're going to give them all kinds of missile defense systems, that to me tells you that more than likely the United States is not going to fight for Taiwan. We're going to give them what they need to go fight their own fight, but I would think that we will probably not do anything. The other indicator to that is the fact that the amount of flights that we see going in and out of there, especially from a C-17 perspective, is about nil. And, it seems like we've been relocating assets from Asia and Southeast Asia for months now over to Europe. And so it looks like our focus has all shifted to Europe, and we're going to let the chips fall where they might whenever China decides to go after Taiwan. It's just what it looks like from what I'm seeing flight-wise, okay? All right, we talked to HIMARS. Last little news item here is U.S. and Syria have been holding secret talks in Oman. Well, it's not what you think it is. At first, I thought there was something really, really interesting to this because they said, this leak came from somebody in the Arab League, but they seem to be talking about this dude, Austin Tice, which I find very interesting. Probably because maybe he's tied to one of the agencies. I don't know, but he's gone missing in Syria, and Syria government says they'll do their best effort to try and find him. Keep in mind that you have not only Iran in Syria, but Russia in Syria, and there was talks that maybe he was at a Syrian detention center near Damascus, but they're saying they can't confirm that. They don't know that's true. So anyway, that's what this whole thing is about, really. So let me just bump on up. Let's get into, first, let's look at the camber flights. And I want to point out that we typically on a Friday will see a multitude of camber flights. They seem to have subsided significantly. This one's coming out of Rota, Spain, right down here, tucked into the corner north of Africa, just getting airborne. It's at 38,000 feet, 543 miles an hour. Looks to be currently headed into Europe, but that's the only camber flight that we've got on the board. Telling you, they are ready to go to war. They just are not moving assets like they were. Here's an arrival coming in, 777 coming in from, it looks to be Billund. I don't know where that is, but 777-200 camber flight coming into Biggs Army Airfield. Eastern Airlines coming in from Rochester. And then down here, we've got Spa flight coming in from Memphis, Spa flight from Alexandria. Okay. Now that tells you, when you start seeing this activity in and out of Alexandria, more than likely, we've got a lot of immigrant moves coming in and out of Biggs. Remember, there is a massive immigrant camp there. Thus, the Allegiant Air 320 also coming in from Memphis. So we've got a lot of smaller aircraft starting to show up on the board again. And then notice here you got a national cargo that is en route or scheduled to be en route. 747 coming in from Chicago. All right, let's see. Eastern, where are you heading here? Kansas City, Missouri. Eastern Airlines to El Paso, Texas. That's a runway change. They are literally going to take off from Biggs, the military side of the house, and go into El Paso. So they'll take off, do a quick turnaround, come in and land in El Paso, and then pick up whatever it is they got to take. Be interesting to see where that one goes, because that is definitely going to be immigrant related. And then this, Allegiant headed up to Cincinnati, Kentucky International Airport. That, again, migrants. And this one headed in and out of Tucson. That's their home operating base, but there is also a large camp in Tucson, just to the east, I believe, of the airport. So a bunch of white tents. Can't miss it if you're there. But that's what we got going on. It looks like we are definitely starting to move people around throughout our country, which is not good. Okay. Up to Dover. Let's see what we got here. One Camber, an Atlas Air, 747. These are landing in Dover. So I go down, another Atlas Air 747 coming up from Miami. And then let's see if we got any indication where they're headed. Looks like that Atlas Air is headed to Ramstein. Notice it is not listed as a camber. Amerijet headed into Norfolk. And then we've got this one here, RZE, camber flight. So we taking troops or coming out of Dover? Could be some explosives, artillery, HIMARS. Could be any of that stuff, all right? And we get over here to Ramstein. Again, very light on the board today. Atlas Air coming in from Dover. We just saw that one. That's on the arrival board. Get down here. You got a C-17. A C-17 it looks like as reach aircraft, more than likely C-17s. And then notice here, two UPS 747-800s coming in from Dover. So that's 3 birds coming in from Dover Air Force Base, large birds, 747s. So that could be tanks, could be HIMARS, could be artillery stuff. It could also be explosives. Just depends. And there ain't no way for us to tell other than we just keep an eye on it. But notice it's going to Ramstein. All right. Okay. And then I got one Atlas Air looks to be coming back to Baltimore, Washington from there. Here you go. Forward operating base. That line right there that you see running along is the border between Poland and Ukraine. This is Ukraine over here. This is Poland. RZE is your forward operating base. And it is also a commercial airline location. So all of these planes you see on here are a mix of military and commercial assets. Okay. Now we look here. This is going to be a British transport rolling in. And I did notice that I have not been showing them lately. They dropped off I must have closed the tab. I need to pull them back in. But this is a little Army one coming out of Wiesbaden, right? Army Airfield. It's like a little BE-20. And then we got one camera flight coming in from Dover. That's it. That could, like I said, I don't know what that is. Could be troops, maybe not. We'll see anything else on the board down there. We get up here to this side, and that's going to be C-130. That right there is NATO coming in, leaving to Eindhoven. And then we've got the Brits going back to the UK. Let me get on down a little further. Duke's headed back to Wiesbaden. And then we've got Atlas Air. It looks like they're flying VFR direct to Hong Kong from there. And that is going to be your French brigade also leaving, headed to, looks like, I think that's Saudi from there. There's a Caleta Air. Looks like that one's headed somewhere. Langelat, don't know. I'm not even going to try to pronounce that. Henan, wherever that is. 747-400, probably Southeast Asia. Sounds like it. All right. Get over here to Western Global. See what these boys are up to. Running the train here today. Looks like we got 2 flights following each other over into what looks to be Osan Air Base. And the other looks to be headed into Seoul, Korea. All right, both of them coming out of one's Shreveport. And then this other one looks like it landed in Alaska up in Elmendorf, and then it's headed on over. Going to pick up some stuff and take it to Europe. All right, last one up. This is going to be Jenna. It's going to be your Gestapo. Looks like they dropped the team off in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and are taking them back to D.C. So they're currently at 25,000 feet, 403 miles an hour. And that, folks, is how the cookie crumbles. All right, well, listen, that's going to do it for today. So I hope you guys have a fantastic weekend. If anything changes, I will definitely come out and do a video, maybe live if it's breaking news. Just keep our eyes on everything. With Zelensky leaving Ukraine and the fact that we have seen a significant lull in the amount of equipment and stuff going into RZE Poland, as well as Ramstein and some of the others, I think that spring offensive may not be very far off. Remember, last Friday, I believe it was, we had the blue and whites coming in from from DC, which would have been probably Joint Chiefs and whoever else flying in to talk to NATO. It looked like they were all getting together in Ramstein at the time. There was, again, a lot of them, which is a pretty good indicator maybe that they are putting their final plans together. Everybody's getting eye lock. Where you sit around the table and go, you good? Yeah. Okay. You good? All right. I'm good. All right. Let's roll. And so let's see what happens. But we definitely have plateaued. And if there is going to be a spring offensive, it cannot be that far off. All right. All right. That's it. You guys be safe out there. Keep that powder dry and stay frosty. We'll talk soon. God bless. Monkey out. Check out the latest gear and products at monkeyworxus.com.